Welcome to our first installment of our KLSU Bracket Challenge web series. We'll have guests come into the studio and make their selections on our big, beautiful whiteboard of bracket that is. Joey Giglio and I did a lot of work. I'm your sports director, Campbell Robinson. Our first guest of our series is Student Government President John Woodard. John, thanks for joining us.
Campbell, thanks for having me on, man.
Your term's coming down to an end. Student government elections are when?
Monday, the 24th.
March 24th. Don't forget, go out and vote for your student government, for your next leaders of this university. John Woodard's done a great job in his year as president. And John, I think it's time to get down to business and start off with the South bracket. I'm going to hand over this red pen to you.
I appreciate it.
Let's make some first round picks.
All right, the first pick, number one overall seed Florida taking on the winner of Albany and Mount St. Mary's. Easy selection.
I think that's an easy one. I think it's a given. We're going to see Florida roll again.
Yeah, Florida on a big time winning streak. Won the SEC tournament over Kentucky, a good game over there in Atlanta. The 8-9 matchup, that's always a tough one to pick. Colorado and Pitt. Who you like here? Colorado without their best player, Spencer Dinwiddie, lost him to an ACL injury in January. A lot of people have that as a big factor. Who you taking over?
Yeah, I'm a Jamie Dixon fan. I think Pitt rolls in this one. I think they're going to even give Florida a good game too in that second round.
5-12 matchup, usually a big upset. VCU and Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin hasn't lost a game since November 23rd. That's 28 straight games, the second longest winning streak behind Wichita State. You like the Lumberjacks here with the upset?
You know, I think I'm going to go with Virginia Commonwealth. I just think
Shaka Smart, you can't go wrong
I
with
think
it.
they pull this one out. I think even though Stephen F. Austin's had a good little run here since December, I think VCU's going to be too much.
All right, the 4-13 matchup, UCLA and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Danny Manning, the head coach over at Tulsa in his second year. You taking the Pac-12?
I'm going to get a little wild. I'm pulling Tulsa on this one. I think they pull an upset.
Yeah, Tulsa, the Conference USA tournament champions this year. And UCLA, a team that's kind of young. Point guard and Kyle Anderson, a guy to look out for over in the South region. The 6-11, Ohio State and Dayton, a little in-state rivalry here.
I know some people have been picking Dayton, and I know everybody. I know your ULL fans. They're gonna like the Dayton in this matchup as the little stepbrother in the state. But I'm going with Ohio State. I think they win this one.
Going Buckeyes over here. Number 3, Syracuse, the 14th seed Western Michigan. Syracuse, a team started off hot, 25-0, lost a bunch of games, and kind of slowly diminishing. A lot of people are kind of riding them out here. You going upset, or are you taking the orange?
I think a Jim Boeheim team doesn't lose to Western Michigan.
Yeah, Tyler Ennis at point guard, freshman, one of the top freshmen in the country, a guy that makes a big impact on both sides of the floor. The 7-10 matchup, New Mexico Lobos and Stanford. What's going on here?
I'm picking New Mexico. I liked what I saw in their games past weekend. I think they look sharp.
Yeah.
Expect that to continue.
Yeah, New Mexico won the Mountain West Tournament Championship against San Diego State. Cameron Bairstow is a big-time guy inside for them. And the last pick in the Kansas region, or in the South region, Kansas and Eastern Kentucky.
I'm going with Kansas.
Jayhawk, Rock Chalk. So that's your round of 32. Florida, Pitt, VCU, Tulsa with the upset over UCLA, Ohio State, Syracuse, and New Mexico. Who's going to the Sweet 16 here? Florida and Pitt.
Florida. I like Florida. I think they're going to be too defensively sound, I think, for Pitt to handle. I think they're going to roll in that one.
VCU and Tulsa.
I like VCU. I think Tulsa's just a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can do this.
There you go.
Ratchet ass boy.
Ohio State and Syracuse. This could be a really intriguing matchup, especially the point guard position. You look at Tyler Ennis and the senior leadership at Aaron Kraft over with Ohio State.
You know, I'm going to go with Ohio State on this one. I think Kraft shows up big time in this tournament.
And your last Sweet 16 team, New Mexico in Kansas, a rematch of a game that they played earlier this year. Who you like here between the Jayhawks and the Lobos? This could be a really good one because remember, Kansas without Joel Embiid, their big guy inside, and New Mexico a team with Alex Kirk and Cameron Bairstow inside with a lot of size, putting a lot of weight on Andrew Wiggins' shoulders for Kansas. You think he can carry the load?
I think you just convinced me that New Mexico should be my pick.
I'm not trying. I promise I'm not trying to do that.
I'm going with the Lobos.
Ooh, the early exit for Kansas, a team that played so well in the best conference in college basketball. Florida and VCU Moving on to the Elite Eight.
I like Florida again. I think they're
Yeah.
playing too tough.
Florida on a roll. Haven't lost since December 2nd of last year to UConn. And your last team in the Elite Eight from the South region, Ohio State and New Mexico.
I like Ohio State to beat New Mexico. I think New Mexico is going to have a good little run here, but Ohio State benefits.
So Florida and Ohio State meeting up in the Elite Eight for a spot in the Final Four. Who do you have taking that South region?
Florida, moving on.
Florida. Consensus pick, number 1 overall seed. So John Woodard's first team in the Final Four are the Florida Gators. Pretty solid selections right here. You got your upsets, you got your teams moving on. Ohio State, I guess you really like them coming out of the Big Ten. Hey, I'm not going to complain over here. Let's move down over to the East. The number 1 seed Virginia Cavaliers taking on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. You going Wahoos?
I'm going Wahoos. Virginia's going to move on in this one.
Yeah. Joe Harris. Up in that backcourt is a guy, Virginia winning the ACC tournament over Duke this past weekend, and they got a number 1 seed for winning that tournament. It looks Virginia. You spelled it right. Dot your I's? No. Memphis and George Washington, the 8-9 matchup. A lot of people taking George Washington
I like
here.
GW too. I think LSU played Memphis tough early in the year, and I like that team. I like GW.
All right, Memphis and George Washington's taking the Colonels. Cincinnati and Harvard. Harvard coming out of the Ivy League. They've been in the tournament 3 straight years, and they have that same core group of guys. A lot of people are picking Harvard, but Cincinnati also an athletic team coming out of the American Conference. Are you going with an upset, or are you taking the Bearcats?
I think I'm taking the Bearcats.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bearcats on this one.
Yeah, you can't deny the fact that Sean Kilpatrick is one of the leading scorers in the conference at almost 21 points a game. Michigan State and the Delaware Blue Hens. You going Sparty?
Oh yeah, I'm going with Sparty. I like Tom Izzo.
Yeah, and Michigan State, a team with a lot of injuries earlier on this year, loss of stretch of games. They have everyone healthy back at the right time. They're playing perfect basketball. They went on to win the Big Ten championship this weekend over Michigan. UNC and the Providence Friars. Providence, the conference champion out of the out of the Big East Conference. Who you like here?
I'm gonna go with Providence. I think this is a good upset watch.
Yeah, Providence beat the great Blue Jays in the Big East Championship this past weekend. North Carolina, a team that won 12 straight games and lost 2 straight coming into the tournament. Providence, big upset there. Iowa State and North Carolina Central.
Going with Iowa State. I think they take this one.
Yeah, Iowa State in the number 1 conference in college basketball in the Big 12 and the Big 12 Player of the Year in Melvin Edgem. UConn and St. Joe's. St. Joe's a conference champion out of the Atlantic 10. UConn, a team that could make a little run here. They have a favorable matchup in that second round if you choose them to move on against Villanova. But who you got here?
I like Langston Galloway and the A10 champions. I'm going to go with St. Joe's.
St. Joe's, Langston Galloway, the Baton Rouge native out of Christian Life Academy, shooting 43% from three-point range right now, and he's deadly from out there. So Joe's, no St. Joe's, just Joe's, moving on against UConn, and finally to round out the East, Villanova and Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
I like Villanova. I like them in this one. I think they move on as number 2.
All right. Your round of 32, Virginia, George Washington, Cincinnati, Tom Izzo, Providence, Iowa State, St. Joe's, and Villanova. All right, let's move on to your round of 32, UVA and George Washington, a little down the road rivalry between DC and Virginia.
I like Virginia to move on. I think it'll be a close game. I think Virginia wins.
All right, Cincinnati taking on Tom Izzo. That could be a really, really fun game to watch. Teams score a lot of points. Cincinnati and Michigan State.
I like Michigan State to move on.
Yeah, Keith Appling and Gary Harris back there, along with Adrian Payne, Brandon Dawson, really an X-factor guy out on the wing for them. Providence and Iowa State.
I'm going to go with Iowa State. I like them to move on.
Big 12 champs. And St. Joseph, Villanova, a Philly matchup right here, right in the same city, right down the street from each other.
I like Villanova to move on. I think it'll be a close game, but I like Villanova's too much.
All right, now in your Sweet 16, you got UVA taking on Michigan State. What's up?
I like the Spartans. I like them. I think they're
Yeah.
a solid club. I think they're going to pull this one out.
Yeah, out of the number one seeds, a lot of people say that UVA is one of the weakest teams that's ranked number one seed. A lot of people could say Wichita State, but you can't really make a case for that because they went 34-0, but they are coming out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Iowa State and Villanova for a spot in the Elite Eight.
I like Iowa State. I think they pull this one out too.
Yeah, DeAndre Big Daddy Kane, big guard out there in the perimeter, and like I said earlier, Melvin Edgem and Georges Niang down low for them. Michigan State and Iowa State for a shot to go to Dallas in the Final Four out of the East region.
I like Michigan State in this one. I think they're going to be going to the Final Four out of the East.
So he's going Sparty. On the left side of the bracket, he's got Florida taking on Michigan State in the national semifinal game going on in Dallas. Let's just take a look at these picks right here. I like what you have going on right here. This is a solid bracket. You might hold up between all of our guests. We're going to have our rankings on all of our guests that come in and participate in the KLSU Bracket Challenge. Let's move over to the western side of the bracket.
Sounds good.
Arizona, the Wildcats coming out of the Pac-12 Conference against Weber State. Damian Lillard's alma mater, by the way, last year. Who you got in this matchup? Easy one, huh?
I think the Wildcats roll.
Yeah. You can't deny the fact that Aaron Gordon, another one of those big-time freshmen, making an impact early on. Nick Johnson as well.
Too strong.
Caleb Tarzinski down low in the paint for them. 8-9 matchup. These have been tough ones. Gonzaga and Oklahoma State. Who you like here?
I like Oklahoma State. I think, was it Marcus Smart?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Marcus Smart.
I like him to show up in this game.
An NBA-ready guard, and also in that backcourt with him is Markel Brown and Brian Nash as well. Oklahoma and North Dakota State.
I'm going upset on this one.
Uh-oh.
I think North Dakota State shocks the Sooners.
Another 12-5 upset. No, have you had? That's your first 12-5 upset
man.
of John Woodard's bracket. North Dakota State moving on to the round of 32. San Diego State and New Mexico State. San Diego State won the Mountain West Conference regular season title, lost to New Mexico in the conference tournament. You going Aztecs or Aggies here?
I think the Aztecs are going to rebound from that conference championship loss.
Yeah.
I think they're going to show up in the tournament.
San Diego State moving on to the round of 32 for John Woodard. Now, Baylor and Nebraska, the 6-11 matchup. Baylor went to the Big 12 championship game, lost to Iowa State there, but they're a team that started to come on strong as well, and Nebraska coming out of the Big 10.
Initially, I like this maybe for an upset, but I'm going to go with Baylor. I think they pull this one out.
Yeah, Isaiah Austin, the big guy down low for them, and Kenny Cherry, a guard that's been playing really well. Also, Brady Heslip, another player to look out for. Creighton and UL Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, are going dancing out of the Sun Belt Conference. You going Dougie McBuckets over here with Creighton, the 3,000-point scorer?
I'm going with Dougie McBuckets. I think he's gonna.
Yeah, McBuckets all the way.
He's gonna hit him.
The Creighton Blue Jays moving on to the round of 32. Oregon and BYU, the 7-10 matchup. Oregon, a team coming out of the Pac-12, also playing really well. Jonathan Lloyd at point guard, a guy to look out for. Who you like here?
I've seen Oregon play a couple times this year, and I think BYU might match up well with them. I think they might pull this one, a little 10-7 upset.
Okay. BYU also without Kyle Collinsworth. They lost him in the semifinals of their conference tournament. So without him, a lot of points not being able to be scored for them. But Woodard's going upset here with BYU over Oregon. Wisconsin and American in the West. If you don't pick American, believe me, we all know that you're still a true American.
I'm going with the Badgers.
Bo Ryan and the Wisconsin Badgers moving on to the round of 32 in the Western region. Let's go back up here. Arizona and Oklahoma State, a big matchup in the round of 32. You going Wildcats?
I'm going Wildcats. I think too much for Pokes to handle.
So no Pokes. Arizona moving on to the Sweet 16. North Dakota State and San Diego State. Who do you like here?
I like San Diego State to move forward.
Big Sweet 16 matchup coming up with Arizona and San Diego State. Baylor and Creighton. Who do you like?
I like Baylor in this. I think a little upset over Creighton.
Yeah, you think Baylor can play enough defense to stop Dougie McBuckets?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Going upset here in the round of 32 in BYU and Wisconsin for that last Sweet 16 spot in the Western region.
I like Wisconsin.
Solid pick right there. Sam Decker and Fred Kaminsky. Big Fred, Frank the Tank over there in Wisconsin. Arizona and San Diego State. Who do you like here?
I think the Wildcats just going to be too much for San Diego State in this one.
Yeah.
Another number one moving forward.
Yeah, Arizona team that was at the number one spot for a while this year in college basketball. Big time favorite for a lot of people around the country. Baylor and Wisconsin.
I like Wisconsin. I think we're going to have a 1-2 matchup out here in the West.
1-2 matchup out in the West for that third spot in this Final Four. Who you got here? Wildcats or the Badgers coming out of the West?
I like Arizona. I think there's too
Solid,
much talent.
Solid pick.
Too much talent.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon, like I said, one of those top freshmen that you are going to know about by the time the NCAA tournament is over with. And now, last but finally not least, the Midwest region, also called the Region of Doom. 3 of the 4 Final Four teams are in this bracket with Michigan State, Wichita State, and also the defending national champs, the Louisville Cardinals, getting a 4 seed. Questionable seeding right there by the NCAA tournament committee. But let's get started here in the Midwest. Wichita State, the undefeated team, versus Cal Poly or Texas Southern in that play-in game.
I think Wichita State's going to move forward with that unblemished record.
Yeah. Wichita State, the Shockers are led by Fred Van Fleet, Ron Baker, a guy who can just kill you from beyond the arc. And don't forget about Clay Anthony Early as well. Kentucky and Kansas State. Now, this is a matchup that you're pretty intrigued by, not only the matchup, but the team. Who do you like here? And it might be your favorite leading on throughout this tournament.
I
Right?
think Kentucky showed us a different side of their ball club in the SEC tournament. I think they're playing well. I think they're going to continue that solid play moving into the tournament.
Yeah, we saw that firsthand in that quarterfinal game when Kentucky beat down on LSU in that quarterfinal game, and they really just flipped the switch and looked like a totally different team. We'll see if that translates on over into March Madness. The 5-12 matchup, NC State and Xavier in a play-in game tonight, but St. Louis, the Billikens taking on the winner of that game. You going Billikens, or are you going to go either NC State or Xavier? You don't have to pick NC State or Xavier. You can just pick either one of those two teams. If you really think that St. Louis,
I think it's going to be NC State. I think NC State wins
so
the
you
play-in
can write
game,
NC State on there.
and I think they beat St. Louis. So I think they're going to move forward.
So John Woodard has NC State
I like
winning the
Ralston
play-in game.
Turner.
Ralston Turner, the former LSU guard over there, and also T.J. Warren, ACC Player of the Year. The guy can flat out score. Louisville and Manhattan. This is an interesting matchup. Steve Masiello, the head coach over at Manhattan, was a walk-on for Rick Pitino at Kentucky, an assistant under him at Louisville. So a little father-son type of relationship between those two guys. Here you going here, the American Athletic Tournament champion and co-regular season champion, Louisville.
I think Coach Pitino teaches his people a lesson. I think Louisville moves on.
Yeah, and you remember Russ Smith from last year, a guy that's going to be putting Louisville on his back as they move on throughout March. UMass, another team that LSU saw this year at the beginning of the year, their opening game, or Iowa and Tennessee in the play-in game for that 11 seed.
I think UMass moves forward.
You're going Minutemen. Moving on to the round of 32. Number 3 seed Duke Blue Devils and number 14 Mercer. Who you like here? Are you going Coach K?
I'm going Coach K. I like the way that their freshmen are playing right now. I think they look solid.
Yeah, Jabari Parker. If Doug McDermott wouldn't have won the National Player of the Year award, Jabari Parker deserves it as well. He won the Wayman Tisdale National Freshman of the Year award earlier this week. The 7-10 matchup, Texas and Arizona State.
I like Texas. They're going to play some good defense. I expect them to shut Arizona State down.
Yeah, any team coming out of the Big 12 this year is going to be a good one to pick for all you people picking your brackets out there. If you're using John's advice or my advice to pick your bracket, Big 12 is the strongest conference in college basketball this year. Rounding out the Midwest region, the Michigan Wolverines and the Wofford Terriers. Michigan fell to Michigan State in that Big Ten championship game on Sunday. But
I like the Wolverines. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna pull this one out.
An easy pick right there for John Woodard in his round of 32. Now let's move on to see who's going to be going to the Sweet 16. Wichita State and Kentucky. This is a matchup that could pose a lot of problems for Wichita State because they're coming out of the Missouri Valley Conference and they're playing a really athletic team, basically essentially an NBA team in Kentucky and future guys. But Kentucky needs to get everything clicking like they had in the SEC tournament. You think that happens here?
I think Coach Cal's experience in the tournament, especially his ability to handle freshmen, I think they pull the upset. I think they end Wichita State's run.
Wow. Big time pick right here. This might be the biggest pick of your bracket. Upsetting Wichita State, obviously the team that went 34-0 this year. The only team to do it since UNLV did it. So John Woodard making a bold pick right there. The Kentucky Wildcats moving on to Sweet 16. NC State and Louisville here, a 4-12 matchup.
I'm going with Louisville. I think they're the most underrated 4 seed in the bracket, and they are going to continue their hot play.
And look what you just set up. The Commonwealth Cup, a rematch of Kentucky and Louisville. Kentucky took down Louisville back in December this year. UMass and Duke, who do you like here?
I like Duke. I like Duke to move forward.
Yeah. Solid pick right there with the Dukies. And then Texas and Michigan. Who do you like here? Nick Stauskas from Michigan, a guy that can really light you up from beyond the arc. He's Glenn Robinson III too, a big-time scorer out in the wing for them.
You know, I'm tempted to go with Texas on this one. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think Michigan finds a way to win.
All right. Solid right there. So we have an 8 seed, a 4 seed, the 3, and the 2 here in the Midwest region for an Elite 8 spot. Kentucky or Louisville?
I know Kentucky beat Louisville earlier in the year. I think Louisville pulls this one out. I think they move forward.
So the Louisville Cardinal moving on to the Elite 8. He likes them beating their arch rival, the Kentucky Wildcats. Duke and Michigan, who do you like here?
I'm inclined to go with Duke. I think Coach K is going to have them ready, but I think Michigan, building upon the great run they had last year in the postseason, I think Michigan's going to move forward.
Who's going Wolverines, the Big Blue, moving on in the Elite 8. And look at this Midwest region is just setting up for all different types of storylines. A rematch for the national championship game last year, Louisville and Michigan. Who you got going for that last Final Four spot?
I think Louisville wins it. I think Louisville positions themselves for another Final Four.
Solid. Louisville Cardinals coming out of the Midwest region, the gauntlet that is the Midwest region. And let's take a look right now at John Woodard's Final Four for the KLSU Bracket Challenge. Florida, Michigan State, Arizona, and Louisville. You got a 1, a 4, a 1, a 4 seed. And so let's get right to it. Dallas, national semifinals. Arizona and Louisville. Who you got here?
I like Louisville. I think Louisville's going back to the game.
Big time selection right there for John Woodard and the Louisville Cardinals going to the national championship. And over on this side, who do you like, Florida or Michigan State?
I like Florida. I think Florida's getting to the championship. It's been a couple of years, but I think Billy Donovan's got them back.
Setting up at Florida and Louisville national championship. In Florida, you got a core of guys that can, seniors really, that are leading this team right now. And Scotty Wilbekin, Casey Prather, Willie, you get Patrick Young. You can't forget about all these guys. And, of course, Louisville with Russ Smith leading the way. I think it's that time. You think it's that time to pick your national champion?
I think we got to pick the champion. I'm hoping this is a pretty solid bracket.
Yeah, I think you got some nice picks here.
I think Florida's going to win it all. I don't think Louisville's going to do it twice. No repeat.
Yeah, the number 1 overall seed, Florida Gators.
Florida Gators
are John Woodard's national champions. Don't do the Gator chomp, just for your sake.
For
I
my
don't
sake,
want
for
you to
everyone's
get,
sake.
I don't
I'm
want
not
you to
doing
get
it.
grilled. You
But I like the SEC champion to pull the whole thing out.
The SEC prevails
Absolutely.
in the NCAA tournament. John, thank you so much for
I
coming
appreciate
out.
it. No, it's a pleasure.
And don't forget, guys out there, the KLSU Bracket Challenge sign up is going on right now. You can check that out on our Facebook page at facebook.com/KLSU Sports or the KLSU Sports tab on the KLSU Radio website page at klsuradio.fm.